Okay, it's never inappropriate to start out with a joke, a lawyer joke, right? So imagine yourself in a courtroom and you have a prisoner who is shackled and in his orange jumpsuit, and he has the courage to ask the court, "May I approach the bench?" And the court says, "Sure." So he goes up to the judge and he says, "I don't know what to do anymore." And the judge says, "What do you mean?" And the man says, "Well, I swore under oath to tell the truth. And every time I try to do that, some lawyer jumps up and objects." So Dave Summers, very wise man, cautioned me about sticking with the OBA topic, which I'm going to be primarily sticking with. But I can't leave out the rule of law, which is also an ABA focus this year. And as many of our presenters have touched upon, how important that is. To paraphrase Dostoevsky, if there is no rule of law, everything is permissible. Think about that for a moment. And the ancient Hebrew people had so much love for the law that they coined a phrase, Torah Ora. Let the law be our guidance and our light. Because the law is our guardrails. The law helps us to maintain a greater good. And I want to give you a little bit of an example. And these 5th grade and 8th grade students who are here today, imagine yourself back on the playground and picture yourself as part of an experiment. And the experiment is that the teacher allows the kindergarten kids to go out to the playground, and it's the first day of class, and the playground has no boundaries, and they don't know what to do, and it's kind of cold and rainy, so they end up using the herd instinct to kind of huddle on the playground. And the teacher sees this and comes out and tells them to come back in. That very night, the experiment continues, and the playground is framed by a fence. And the kids come out the second day, and they look around, and they see the fence, and they start running up to the fence. And they're playing a game. And they're laughing, and they're hollering, and they're having a great time. Again and again and again. Because what that fence represented to them was it was the benefit of a boundary. It provided protection, and it gave them a sense of security, just like the law does for us. So with respect to the rule of law, I'm going to cut the fat from the bone, because there are many people in this country who over the last few months have been letting their voices be heard, and even today, letting their voices be heard, hundreds of thousands, with respect to the rule of law. And what their concern is that democracy is trembling. And they feel that democracy is at the risk of tumbling down. And those folks, in their minds, are making a very good and positive statement. And they're not being tame. They're not being tame. And I think, with respect to the OBA message today and a call to action, that all of us need to step up to the plate with respect to what we can do in our community. I don't know that anybody has ever said it better than John Donne, the famous classical poet. And John Donne said, "No man is an island or heir to himself. Everybody is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." And the message today is, out of many come one. And this is not a time to stand on our tiptoes, waiting for somebody else to lead the charge with respect to maintaining the rule of law. It is something that we have to move forward in a muscular way and do so in a way that involves love in action, because talk doesn't cook rice. And there are so many ways that we can move forward with this. And the first way is to vote, because we need to vote, and we need to elect people who are trustworthy, who strive for wisdom, who strive to do justice, and who strive to do mercy. All of us can be a part of that, and it is extremely important. So we've got to lift up our hearts, we've got to use our hands, and we've got to use our feet in order to move through the community, particularly to help the poor, the friendless, and the needy, because they are at risk with respect to extreme budget cuts. And they are the ones who need our help for a hands up, for them to be able to continue and have a life that is peaceful and calm. So I suggest to you, and I'm really just talking to myself with respect to some of the things that in Omaha are great opportunities for you. And I want to take a quote from a refrain from Blowing in the Wind, Bob Dylan. And even the younger people may have recognized Bob Dylan because of the movie that just went out for him. And so every day, or almost every day, I pass a homeless person. And Dylan's refrain is, don't look away and pretend that you do not see. Stop. Be present. Talk to them. Learn about them. There are many, many opportunities in this community to serve the poor. Sienna Francis House, Open Door Mission, all of those places are great opportunities. And to help the less fortunate, and I can't tell you how much that will lead you to a very rich and rewarding experience. Our veterans are losing their jobs. They are in danger of their well-being. Go to a veterans organization. The people who serve this country are some of the most gallant and courageous and valiant people, and they have not always been viewed that way. And we need to make sure that we view them that way. With respect to Habitat for Humanity, Habitat for Humanity, of course, built houses. And I have to tell you a little story, and everybody who knows me well knows that I am completely non-mechanical, okay? If you get me near something, it's a real danger to whatever that something is. And so I one day went down to a Habitat for Humanity. We were building a house for a Sudanese family. And I picked up a paintbrush and I started to paint the wall. I stepped back. After I did that, I looked and I said, well, that's pretty good. Well, the next time I came back, one of the leaders of the crew came to me and said, Stu, we really like to consider a different job. Can you just come back and just help prepare meals? Because as I looked at the wall, somebody who did have talent had painted it over in a completely different color. I have to talk about our refugees, because our refugees come from a place where their lives are at stake, because they face injustice, they face cruelty, they face disease, and they face death. And they're coming here for an opportunity to just live and survive. Lutheran Family Services does a magnificent job, as does the Refugee Empowerment Center, of aiding our refugees, because this is the place that is their hope. And as a woman from a soup kitchen once told me, hope is the anchor of the soul. Help them with that hope. A number of our presenters have talked about the old, the infirm, the people with mental health issues, behavioral health issues. There are so many opportunities to help them. And oftentimes, those folks have not won the natural and social lottery of life. And they're in tremendous need of just being noticed and loved. We need to take better care of the earth. Posterity is not talked about much anymore. But posterity is what we are going to hopefully focus on with respect to the care of the earth for our children and our grandchildren. Because we need to leave them with a place that they can live and thrive. The last thing that I want to leave with you is a question. And it's a question from one of America's greatest poets. Her name is Mary Oliver. And Mary Oliver wrote a poem called The Summer's Day. And in the last stanza of that poem, she asked this question, and I ask each and every one of you to really consider it. Tell me what it is that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. Thank you, everybody.